The Democrat Unity Platform, Immigration, and the DNC's convention. What do the American people really know about what the Democrats are planning to do in 2021? Hi, I'm Dan Stein, joined by Preston Huennekens, Harris Government Relations Associate, and we're going to talk about what we've learned this past week. Preston, Kamala Harris was a senator for 3 years, 2 years. What do we know about her track record?
So Kamala Harris made a name for herself, particularly in immigration, by being very aggressive in some of the, nominating hearings for a lot of President Trump's leaders in his immigration agencies. One of, some of her most fierce commentary came during the various nominations for individuals to lead Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. And so while legislatively, she hasn't been able to accomplish much on her own in the Senate, given that she's in the minority party in that chamber. She has really made a name for herself by coming out and being very aggressive and very anti-Trump with a lot of his immigration actions.
Well, at one hearing with Ron Vitello, who is the nominee, she said that she compared ICE to the KKK. Isn't that right?
She did. She compared a domestic terrorist organization, white nationalist organization, to one of our country's federal law enforcement agencies, whose congressionally mandated job is to handle interior immigration enforcement. And so obviously, people want to, kind of throw dirt on ICE and say that, they're not necessary or they're too aggressive, but they're pursuing what Congress as a body has given them to do.
So if she were to become vice president, what would happen to the morale at Immigration Customs Enforcement, or ICE?
I'm sure that it would plummet. And a separate organization, the Border Patrol within Customs and Border Protection, their Border Patrol union just came out and endorsed President Trump for many of the same reasons, saying that morale would plummet under a Biden-Harris administration, and it's simply because you don't want people in the White House who abjectly disagree with the mission that you're trying to do on a day-and-day basis.
Well, at some level, the two of them kind of merge. Biden and Harris become bias. In any case, during the convention, the Unity platform was brought up. Most Americans probably don't really know what's in the Unity platform. This is the platform drafted by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and that crowd that was anointed by Biden to do the job. You want to give us the quick, very 30-second thumbnail. What's in that Unity platform?
Absolutely. And what people should understand about the Unity platform is that at its core, it is a massive amnesty for every illegal alien present in the United States. And this is something that Joe Biden had even endorsed before the Unity platform, before his surrogates met with Senator Sanders' surrogates. And that's really the crux of what is in this platform. There's obviously small changes to various parts of the immigration, the immigration tools in the federal government, but at the core of the plan is this idea to put every illegal alien in the United States on a pathway to citizenship.
Well, yeah, and they also basically say, they start out by simply saying anything that Trump did in his 4 years, first term, is going to be undone, reversed, repealed, recoiled, removed, eliminated. All of it's going to be undone. Everything's going to be undone. We're going to go back to the caravan incentives, asylum fraud, letting people come into the country under bogus asylum claims and disappear into the country. We're going to allow people to apply for asylum from Central America. We're going to abolish interior immigration law enforcement. We're going to abolish worksite enforcement. We're going to abolish state and local cooperation and immigration enforcement. We're going to so isolate immigration customs enforcement that there's virtually no effective deportation. And we're going to enact an amnesty, obviously, for the DACA beneficiaries, about which there seems to be something of a consensus. But then we're also going to give a massive amnesty to everybody who's here illegally, which could be somewhere between 10 and 22 million people. Nobody knows how many, which entails more relatives getting in line to join. So it would probably also include a suspension of all deportation and removals during the multi-year process of that amnesty program, as well as for anybody they might be related to, parents, spouses, children, etc. And the fact is, the evidentiary standards that would qualify, apparently, you'd have to be here physically in the country with no limitations. At least they don't put in the platform. It would also mean that potentially tens of millions of people would also get in line to come in. They would also remove the per country caps. They're talking about, we would have to assume that Kamala Harris would be in favor of S-387, which is in response to the fact that people from India and China have overloaded the H-1B process. Now they all want to stay and get green cards, but because of the wise diversity ensuring components of the per capita, per country limitations, India and China are oversubscribed in those categories, and there are long waiting lists. So now these temporary workers who were never promised they were going to get a chance to stay are now being given, under the Biden plan, green cards and a removal of the per country caps. So you abolish all immigration enforcement, incentivize illegal immigration, completely blow the lid off legal immigration. Now, has the Biden campaign, Preston, have they provided the American people with any numerical projections of the likely impact of the Biden immigration plan, the Biden-Harris bias immigration plan? And B, have they provided a cost estimate that if you suddenly have 11 million to 22 million illegal aliens qualifying for the full panoply of benefits, state and local, federal, what is that going to cost taxpayers? So have they given us a numerical projection or a cost estimate?
No, they've given the American people neither of those things. And that can either be because they haven't done their due diligence in projecting those, which is unlikely, or they know what those numbers are and they're deliberately hiding those because they know that the impact is so great. And a lot of people would look at this and say, what are we doing here? The majority of American people do not support wide increases in the overall number of legal immigration to the country. And they certainly, I think, given our current economic situation in wake of the coronavirus crisis, they certainly wouldn't agree with the fiscal cost that would occur that would be borne on the American taxpayer to have millions and millions of more people come in every single year through these plans.
And what would happen ultimately to the political process? I mean, if you enfranchise all these people by 2028, you now have millions more people eligible to vote in mostly Democrat-dominated states. What are the chances of a Republican president ever getting elected after 2024 again?
Yeah, it's not very likely. And every demographic study of incoming migrants going through the green card process, generally those are going to be Democratic voters, and it's going to be very difficult for the Republican Party to attract those voters and get them to vote for someone other than the Democratic Party. It's going to be very difficult for national elections for a Republican to win the presidency. And particularly that changes also the demographic makeup of current Republican states like Texas and Florida and even Georgia. When you see more immigration coming into those states, that changes the state politics there too. So you may see a state like Texas, which has been reliably Republican for decades, suddenly become a Democratic stronghold.
And what about the environmental movement? Wouldn't they show some concern for the impact of all these additional people coming into the country using resources like water and additional consumption of resources, as well as carbon emissions and other greenhouse gases? I mean, where's their concern about a huge population growth program of this kind?
Yeah, they've been oddly quiet, and it's really a shame because there's no question that more people coming into the country, and particularly going to already heavily populated states, is going to have a huge impact on the environment. If we look at what's happening in California this week with the wildfires that they're having there, with the drought that they have gone through this summer, and you ask yourself, if millions of immigrants are coming to California, that is going to strain the environmental resources there. It's going to strain the environmental resources of somewhere like Texas, where, you know, they're moving into the cities. They're already straining, you know, the water supplies, these kinds of things. So it is the silence from environmental groups on this issue is really stunning.
Well, are you aware, as I'm not aware, of any political platform in the history of the United States that incorporated this kind of mass immigration, no limits, effectively that let everybody come into the country platform? Is there anything of that kind that you recall?
No, nothing has ever come close to what has been suggested so far on the Biden-Harris ticket. Even President Obama in the 2008 and 2012 election did not promise this kind of amnesty. Even former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton did not promise this amount of amnesty in 2016. So for the Democratic Party to shift so much to endorsing every single illegal alien in the United States earning a pathway to citizenship is really, stunning.
And what would, I mean, in terms of law and order, I mean, we're going to see a complete decline in respect for law at that point. Why would anybody respect immigration law after that? I guess the big question really is, to what extent do you think that the American people know and understand what they put in this platform?
I don't think that many people, outside of the Beltway, outside of kind of the coastal media elite, understand the depth of what is at stake in this platform. I think that if, normal people, regular people, everyday Americans read through the Unity platform, read through Biden's initial platform, and read through Kamala Harris's platform when she was a presidential candidate. When you look at those three documents together, there are probably very few average Americans who would look at this and say, this is what we need to do for our country. Most people would look at this and say, hold on a minute, why are we proposing this? What is the benefit to our country? What's the benefit to our blue collar workers? What's the benefit to workers that haven't, earned a college education? This is going to affect, a significant number of people economically. And I think that they really should, this is also a part of the job of the Trump campaign to attack them for this. But I think that they need to be held to account for what they're suggesting in their plans here.
Well, the American people need to know and understand what's in the platform. You can find the elements on our website. We are at fairus.org. That's www.fairus.org. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, you want to subscribe to our channel to get the latest information on what's happening, both on the platforms in the campaign, but also on the issue generally. This is Preston Huennekens. I'm Dan Stein, and thanks for joining us.